Welcome to Foam to Fortune, the ultimate podcast for spray foam insulation industry. Whether you're a contractor aiming to take your business to the next level or a vendor bringing innovation to the market, this is the place where success stories are shared, insider tips are uncovered, and the industry secrets are revealed. Join us as we dive into the journeys of the spray foam pros who turn their dreams into thriving empires and discover tools and strategies to build your own path to fortune. Ready to elevate your spray foam game? Let's get started. Foam to Fortune, where innovation meets inspiration. What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Foam to Fortune podcast. And today I have a fellow Montana brother, Donny Morton from Bulletproof Insulation from Billings, Montana. What's up, Donny?
How is it going? We're enjoying the fall weather out here in Montana.
Heck yeah, man. Heck yeah. For those that are just that maybe don't know a little bit of the background, I spent the first 14 years of my life in Montana, just maybe about, I don't know, about an hour and a half away from where you're currently sitting, Donny. I grew up there, and Donny and I pre-show sat here and shot the shit about growing up in what I'd still consider small Montana. Donny, give us like an idea. I know you've been at this for 6 years. Give us an idea of how you got started and kind of a little bit of your background.
So I grew up on a farm and ranch just north of Billings out here. Grew up running cattle and equipment. Ended up moving to Bozeman when I went to college up there, Montana State. Got my degree in biotechnology, so kind of science background. Graduated and found out that science doesn't pay the bills anywhere near as well as construction does. So just after I got done, was married, had a kid of my own, an ex-wife, worked in construction, and moved back home right after, as soon as the bubble popped, because Big Sky, all of that dried up. As soon as that market was starting to turn, Big Sky shut down, construction in that country shut down, Bozeman, Livingston. Ended up back in Billings and wondered what the heck I was going to do. So I fell back on the farmer background. Ended up finding a girl from Illinois, and I was running heavy equipment at the time. We got together. We're looking to buy a house. Found one in Laurel, and Laurel's another one of the railroad towns like Livingston is. Mm-hmm. One of the old houses had storage stairs built to access the attic in the bathroom of all places. You pull out a drawer, there's a step built right in there. Into the attic you went. We walked in there as our realtor showing it to us. Zero insulation. Nothing. Used for storage.
Zero insulation in Montana?
Yeah.
Oh my God, that must be the world's most expensive heating bill.
I can't imagine how they kept it cool in the summer either, because it's right in the middle of Laurel.
Yeah.
Our average temperatures are not bad, but you go from 30 below to 105. And that house, it was built in the 50s, so there's not much in the walls. Had a basement that was crumbling on the floor, so the invoice was never insulated. And I knew that a neighbor one guy down the road from where I grew up had a spray foam rig. So I called him up on the phone as I'm walking out of the attic. My wife and the realtor were ahead of us and said, "What information do you need to give me a quote?" He said, "Well, I'm in my 60s now. It's bothering my shoulders too much. I've shut the rig down. I'm looking to sell it." I said, "Well, all right. If I don't buy the house, I'll buy the business from you." It was quarter in jest, 2/3 of, well, if we can't buy this house, I might as well do something else. I was working 4 days a week, heavy equipment. My wife is working 5 days a week, and she didn't like that. Mm-hmm. She didn't like that I had one more day off than she did, so she was all for buying the business when it fell through. That was November, February 1st. We signed the papers at the bank, drove up. And Montana's got wild weather. You know this from living out here. One day it can be 40 degrees, and that's what it was, February 1st. We drove out there dressed just like I am now, jeans and a sweatshirt, drove that pickup out. February 2nd, we had 20 below and 6 inches of snow. And it stayed that way until 15th of April. That's when it started. Wow. So I bought a spray foam rig and got to look at it for the next 2.5 months.
Okay. So that was the beginning part of the journey. That was early 19.
Yeah, that was February 1st to May 1st of 19. I took a class from a distributor. They do great classes for beginners. The only problem that we had is they were moving their location from Billings to Bozeman. So the support that I could have gotten here in Billings now is 2 hours away. The branch manager, who's done a lot of foam, very knowledgeable, his wife was having their fourth kid, and all the help I expected to have getting the rig up and running, because it sat for 18 months, was gone. So it was a lot of, you need to, making a phone call, you need to do this, this, and this, and figure it out on your own. And instead of having a guy there for, 2-3 hours a day for 2 weeks, teaching me how to troubleshoot, fix, repair, replace this, that, and the other, I got 5 minutes here, 2-minute phone call there, and YouTube University.
I love it. We've heard YouTube University a lot from other spray foamers, so you're not alone there. I'm curious, Donny, did any of your farm and ranch equipment background, do you think that helped you in this situation of knowing kind of about the spray foam rig, or no?
Yes. The reactor it's just a hydraulic pump. So understanding how hydraulics work and how the fluid moves, it's no different than running equipment. Once you understand how fluid moves, and when you're running heavy equipment, dirt is a fluid. It's moving just like a fluid. So once you see how things move and understand where the problems are going to be, it helps you figure out where your restrictions are, if it's going to be a supply line, if it's going to be in your screens, what to do when you start having problems, and what you can do to fix it. And it helps when you're 2 hours from the nearest parts store in setting your rig up for success, setting your teams up for success. Mm-hmm. Montana, as you know, we grew up 2 hours apart. Now my supplier's 2 hours, so I have to make sure that if I have a problem on my rig, I can fix it, because it's 2 hours to get the parts. It's an hour when you're there, because you got to stop and eat, and feed the wife and the kids, and refuel, and then drive back 2 hours. You can't do that. You can't make things work. You can't make a profit. You can't be down 4 hours a day.
Yeah, that's really puts a strap on the business if you're having to run it like that.
And growing up in the farm and ranch, you learn how to fix things on your own. You're not calling for a dealer support, because we grew up in the days before cell phones. Yeah. So now you got to walk to a landline. You got to get the neighbor to call for you. And if you're on a customer's property and you're on the phone talking to a rep, that's a bad look overall.
For sure, man, for sure. So it sounds like just right from the get-go, you had challenges.
Yeah, it was challenging because the rig sat. I fought crystal problems in the A side. I couldn't afford, after buying the rig, trying to buy a house, I couldn't afford to replace 200 feet of hose and new supply lines and new pumps. So I replaced what I had to and went from there. It ended up costing me, after I purchased it, $10,000 to get it running, just in parts and repair bills.
Yeah. Some serious challenges when you first started. I'm curious. Montana's a pretty rugged place. Anything from the winters to the rural areas to how wide open some of the parts of the state is. Does that shape your guys' business, versus, like, say, for example, somebody that's spraying maybe in Texas or Florida?
Having to travel as far as we do definitely shapes my business, because I have to make sure that my pickup, my trailer, and we do a lot of pickup and trailers. You're not going to take a box truck up a mountainside, and I will tell you about that fun job here shortly.
Yeah.
You've got to make sure that you're going to get there and back. And then if there's weather, and there's weather everywhere, but Montana, you're traveling 2 and 3 hours for a job. The furthest I traveled is 7 hours.
Wow.
You have to plan for the weather will change before I get there. The weather's going to be different when I leave. And I may have to have 4-wheel drive. I may have to have tire chains. I may have to be prepared to spend an extra 2 hours figuring out how to get home. because the weather has changed. My favorite job for the view, and it's because I grew up hunting in this area, is the Castle Mountains. My wife and I got a call from another contractor that has a cabin. They're out of state. Said, we need you to come in. We need someone that will come in and film this. We heard you've got the ability to get off the road. And not just off the paved road to a gravel road, off the gravel road onto a 2-track, and then down where people shouldn't go. So we took my pickup and trailer, and my wife brought our other 4-wheel drive pickup. We had just 2 little handheld radios, and we're going in there. And she's looking at the pitch and roll indicator on my 2020 pickup, and it said 18 degrees down as we were going in. The customer was waiting for us on the porch. They had a black bear and 2 cubs in that very morning where we parked the trailers, trying to get into his pickup, see what food he had in the back.
Yeah.
And that poses challenges because now you're taking not fragile, but your generator, your reactor, all of it has circuitry that can be damaged through rough roads. And Forest Service roads, mountain roads are not smooth.
Mm-hmm.
We did have the voltage regulator go, it was low voltage when we got there. After a shutdown and a restart, I got the job done. After we got it back out at overvoltage, we fried circuit boards and fuse panels. So we got the job done, and it's beautiful. The pictures, you're looking on top of the mountain out across 20 miles of tree-covered slopes and grass valleys, and seeing White Sulphur Springs in the background and the next set of mountain ranges. And just a little cool thing, the helicopter from Yellowstone,
yep,
that is based on the Galt Ranch, which is just outside of White Sulphur Springs. They use a helicopter to go check on their cattle all the time. That's where the Yellowstone, John Dutton, that's
the TV show. When he's talking about Yellowstone, he's talking about the TV show, you guys.
The TV show, yeah.
Yeah.
The one that most people are familiar with.
Yeah. Yeah, most people are now pretty familiar with it, with that TV show, but I didn't want them to mistake it. I mean, there's a lot of Yellowstone, businesses, the park, there's a lot of Yellowstone mixed in there, the river, all that other good stuff back there in Montana. So, wow, that's pretty cool. It does sound like the challenges, especially something like that. I mean, like how many guys that are tuning in right now have drove on these Forest Service roads, number one, that are, I mean, I remember as a kid, like you might come across a hole in the road that could eat, basically a good axle, and and next thing you know, you're half your truck's in the hole. So it's very, very challenging for sure. So every contractor, Donnie, says that they want to grow. That's a lot of what I hear, but a lot of times, after the chaos of growing, they realize that there's, these problems that have come up with the growth. Pre-show, you talked about how you guys grew. You guys grew to like 18 members. Things were really cranking along. Now you guys are back down to 4, I believe. What type of growing pains did you guys have? And was there any lessons that you remember that really stood out from growth?
There's a lot of lessons that I learned, and a lot of them boil down to me not knowing how to manage or run a business when I started. Mm-hmm. The book, The E-Myth, has been a great influence now that I've read it and listened to it. Listened to it more than read it. I was seized by an entrepreneurial seizure. I had one. And then just like the book describes, all right, I got to grow. I went from 1 guy to 3 to 4 to 8, and now I've got big commercial projects, and I'm running myself ragged trying to operate one thing. I try to stay with that spray foam rate a lot, and I'm running 2 fiberglass crews, and I got a blow machine running. And you can't manage all of it. Trying to find the players, the key people to run other aspects so you can focus on what's important. And what happened to me in that growth phase, that explosion that we did, is I lost myself. I got lost in the business. And the burnout, the frustration of why can't I find people that will work as hard as I do when I'm doubling the production of 20-year-old kids and I'm pushing 45, 47.
Yeah.
It's frustrating because just you and I, we grew up working hard. That's what you did. The harder you worked, the better you felt about it. And that's not the climate anymore. Not the ones that I see.
I gotta be honest, pen and paper, it had a good run, but foam bid is the future. This episode of the Foam to Fortune podcast is sponsored by Foam Bid. This is the app that allows you to stop scribbling notes and to send bids instantly. No more guessing, no more undercutting your profits, and no more bidding jobs too high. Foam Bid allows you to hit the sweet spot every single time. So if you want early access, make sure you go over to foambid.co/beta.
Yeah. So is one of the biggest struggles that you've had with the growth is getting either qualified people or somebody that doesn't have the qualifications but has the drive to want to learn the trade.
And wants to stay. I find a lot of people that will jump from insulation company to insulation company to learn something a little different, take parts and pieces here. And once you get them trained to doing the good job that I want to put out there and my reputation that I'm built on, they decide, you know what, insulation isn't for me. I'm going to go do something else now. And I've had 3 really good employees do exactly that.
Wow.
That's frustrating. It's
frustrating and expensive, especially when you've taken your time and taught these guys how to spray or you know, the you know, shared with them all your experience of what you've learned over the years. I'm sure there's lots of tricks and trades, even that, you know, from just growing up on a farm and a ranch versus your average spray foam contractor that grew up in the city that bought a rig. You know, there's tricks there that I'm sure you shared with your team members, and to have them not stick around is extremely frustrating. And it does put a lot of, you know, damper, I guess, on your growth, because gosh, do I even attempt to go hire somebody because they might just continue to do the same thing and such. Have you thought about, you know, looking outside the state, finding somebody that's experienced, that wants to move to Billings, Montana, a beautiful part of the world, and live?
There's a lot of people that would want to live out here if they actually knew what Montana really was. If you try to take someone from Arizona, from Texas, that's lived in that warm climate, and they hear Montana, and they think their vision of Montana is Havre.
Yeah.
It's southern Canada. It's not what Montana really is for most of us.
Mm-hmm.
So trying to get them past that, and then look at, well, I'm making $35 an hour spraying foam in Texas. You're not offering that. I can't live there. And they don't realize that, well, the cost of living is a lot different here.
Yep.
And the benefits that we have of being able to be 10 minutes from, I mean, I'm 3 minutes from Yellowstone River.
Mm-hmm.
I'm 45 minutes from a really nice ski area in the winter. So as a business owner that's got to deal with these challenges, we talk about getting into the mountains and the travel, I don't put my people out when the weather turns. When I know it's going to be nasty out or that it's going to risk a pickup and trailer, I'm not risking my employees' lives. I'll look at the weather. Hey, no, go skiing. Go do something else. You're not coming today. We're going to just shut it down. I don't care.
Yeah.
And having the ability to say, 15, 20 minutes, I will be either on the river or I will be backpacking in the snow. I will be snowmobiling. I'll be skiing. I'll be sitting at the Yellowstone Hot Springs.
Yes.
Enjoying the weather, the winter, the skiing, watching the elk, whatever it is. They don't never see that because of how vast the state is, and we got things that they don't have elsewhere.
Yeah, for sure. And do you guys typically spray year round, or do you guys take, you know, a couple months off when it gets real cold?
I've sprayed every month of the year. I try not to lay my guys off. I have successfully not had to do extended layoffs. I paid for, you know, hey, I'm going to pay you $500 to stay home for the next 2 weeks. And then we're going to be right back at it.
Yeah.
I never liked being laid off, so I don't want to do it to my people. You get to sweep the shop a lot in the winter if we have to. I spray foaming every month of the year out here, every single month.
That's good to hear. So if there's anybody that's tuning in that has always wanted to have a dream of living in Montana, it's absolutely beautiful. I will attest to that. When you go visit it, I feel like somebody that's maybe considering moving to Montana to work for Donny would have to come and check it out during the summer. One of the most beautiful summers that you'll ever enjoy is in Montana, especially those things that Donnie's talking about, fly fishing on, the Yellowstone River and things like that. But also make sure that you go there during the winter to realize what cold is, because growing up, I remember I can't comprehend this, Donnie, that there was times I would walk to school, which was very close. It was only, a few blocks away, but it would be, below zero temperature with like a 17 below wind chill. And by the time I got to school, the snot in my nostril would be frozen together. Donnie knows exactly what I'm talking about here, you guys. And it is frigid cold, especially in the town I grew up in. It's known as the Windy City. We're not talking about Chicago. We're talking about Livingston, Montana. So make sure that you check out the winter and the summer. But if there's anybody who's tuning in, it sounds like Donnie has an opportunity to possibly to employ you there in Billings and help him grow this company, because that sounds like that's been your biggest challenge as team members. Is that correct?
It is. Finding people that are passionate about spray foam as I am, my science background, I love the science of it. It's what we do. Like you said in other podcasts, we are the mad scientists of the construction world. We're taking two different chemicals and creating a plastic in your wall that that the house is going to live with forever.
Yeah.
And seeing the growth phase, all of it come together to make something better than it ever was, and it's going to last for 50 years. Fascinates me.
It's cool. And we've had a lot of other, no disrespect, but we've had a lot of science geeks on here, Donnie. I'm telling you, there's a lot of guys that just dig building science and really have used the building science background to help with the sales piece. Because it's all great and it's all fine and dandy that this is going to lower the energy bill or whatever the case is, but that's not the language that most people care about. They really care about what it's going to do for their family, how much more comforting it's going to be, what it does to the structure as far as the soundproofing and making that thing really solid, even more than just a regular built home. So the science, I know there's a lot of people that are tuning in that can relate to your enthusiasm about the building science.
That's the thing that both my wife and I, with our science backgrounds, love to get into. We don't get into it as much as we would like because we're spending too much time. Now that I've learned through the E-Myth and other people, Canvas is a great one to point out, you have to have your SOPs, your policies, your procedures. Yeah. We're working very diligently to put together an SOP manual that I can put out to my crew and say, here, it's here. You have a question, open this book, and it will be in there.
It's almost like the Bulletproof Bible. Maybe that's what you should call it. Because truly, I mean, what I found is I've been a business owner now for, probably over 15 years. And the thing that really prevents people from growing is having your SOPs and your procedures and your policies and how does everything work? Because in a business should never be stagnant. Things are constantly changing. And when you're bringing in new people, it's so much easier to have done it once. We put together a training manual or online kind of a library of watch these videos. This is the training versus you having to train a guy. And then the guy sticks around for, 6 months. And then next thing you know, Donnie's training again after this guy leaves. And now you're training again and you're training and you're training. You're like, oh God, like talk about burnout, Donnie. That's that's where you probably get the burnout, is because you're just like, oh, and I don't feel like I'm advancing. I feel like I'm going backwards with this business.
The good thing for me is that I enjoy spraying foam. So when I've lost my primary foam installer, and I've lost 3 of them that were good,
Mm-hmm.
I've got one of them back now. He is my foreman. He's not just an employee, he's my friend. He was my friend first, and then became an employee. And then because of issues that me being part-time, I was running a county road grader. I was working 40 hours a week, and he was the one that was primarily in it. It just became too difficult to not be running the business full-time.
Yeah.
And we parted ways. I took over running the business full-time, and that's when the real learning curve began. And now he and I came back together. He's running my foam rig again, and I'm really working diligently to train a new hire here that's taking to foam spraying quite well. And then he will be able to do the medium oversight of, going out, looking at a job, what do we need to have here, doing the follow-up of, was it done correctly, is the quality right? Well, I can come on site and do a little bit of teaching. He can do teaching. I found that when you're training someone, you need 3 or 4 different people to learn from.
Mm-hmm.
My technique is different than my foreman's. It's been different than every other person that you learn your own technique and take bits and pieces from this person and that person, and then you pass it on the same way too.
Yeah.
So I like having the ability to have reps come out, which again, Montana, you have to really talk to one by the name of Damon and say, we're going to go fishing after we're done spraying, so come on out and bring your pole this time. And you know who I'm talking about. He'll bite with that one.
Yeah, you got to bribe them a little bit, don't you?
And then once they're out here, they call up, well, do you need me to come out here in May again when the caddises are running, or my favorite's the salmon fly hash? Do you need me to come out about that time?
Yes, we do. We do. We need you to come out. And then why don't you stay just for the beginning part of hunting season? We'll get you out there. We'll get you, a tag and take you out hunting too.
That's been a big draw of people get to see. I have my trail cams on there, get to pull up pictures, and you'll see everything from mountain lion, coyotes, deer, elk. Once in a while, we'll catch a really, really big coyote in there.
Wow. Is that close to home for you where the trail cams are, or is this on some property of yours?
It's on property that we own that's 2 miles north of the old homestead. It's
Nice.
45 minutes from where I'm sitting right now.
Nice. That's always fun, especially to see what type of wilderness or wildlife, I guess I should say, out in the wilderness that comes by the trail cam. It's quite shocking. I've seen some trail cam videos in the past where there was a mountain lion that was stalking a deer on a trail cam, and the deer had no clue. All you could see was the eyes of the mountain lion that's sitting there in the dark. The deer ended up surviving and not getting eaten, but I was shocked, honestly. So Donnie, I know that Montana hasn't changed much since the 90s, since I was there. When I was growing up as a kid, it was a lot of jobs, a lot of work, a lot of I guess non-contract type of work was being done with just handshakes and just referrals, right? Like, hey, my cousin used you. When can he come over and do the job? It's not we'll just say a traditional business type of atmosphere. So with that being said, it's also very small town vibe. It doesn't matter if you're living in Billings, which is the biggest town in Montana. It's still a lot of people know each other. A lot of people know the reputation of businesses. Have you guys ever came across a situation where it was a job that you should have either taken or not taken, just dependent on, like, it was a money factor versus your reputation? Like, God, if I take this job, it might tarnish my reputation, or maybe I shouldn't take this job and just walk away from the money because this is a bad situation.
I have never walked away from a job and regretted it. There's jobs that I regret not walking away from. There was one that we took. This is still when I was running the road grader full time, so that a lot of it was that I was not as present as I should have been.
Okay.
Being a business owner that's part time, that was an error on my part. So I sent my foreman out to go scope the job out, and he described the community that it was a greenhouse. It was a partially underground greenhouse, and I took the job because I liked the product, the design. I liked the design of this greenhouse. They were trying to build to last all year using geothermal heat to keep it warmer in the wintertime. I thought it was a cool project.
Yeah.
The hairs on my neck stood up when he described it. It was cult-like, very, very cult-like.
Oh.
Yes, and it's not far from here. And I wanted to have my name on doing one of these projects. Because in the product details, it says you build this greenhouse, you put spray foam here, here, and here. Yep, it was a bad idea. They were very particular about what went where. The cleanup was just because it was a greenhouse and we were trying to make everything just exactly perfect. We did a lot of trimming in areas that are very difficult to reach.
Mm-hmm.
Now they don't want any spray foam pieces in gravel, pea gravel. When you're using a CI cutter, you have small pieces of gravel, and shop vacs will set pea gravel right up. So the cleanup got it was a lot, and we should have walked away from the job, but we didn't. And the thing that I noticed with Montana is that you can do a job poorly in aspects. As long as you make it right before the end of the job, your reputation will not suffer, and actually it will grow because that person says, hey, look, this business, they made a mistake. They admitted it. They owned it. They fixed it. They made it right. We're all happy at the end of the day. And I get a lot of jobs that we never sign a full contract. We show up, we talk about it, I send the quote, yeah, we're good to go. We shake hands, I accept the quote. We show up, I or my crew do the job, they walk away with a check, or the check's sent 2 days later.
Yeah. Donnie, I got to warn you, there's a lot of people cringing right now. They're like, oh, but it is a different, like, I wouldn't believe it if I didn't grow up back there, truthfully. It's just a different atmosphere, and this is just the way business is done in Montana. And I don't know if it'll ever change. I mean, it's been almost 30 years since I've lived there, and here we are operating the same as we did when I was a kid.
I hope it never does change. I hope that we always maintain that grassroots agriculture background where your word is your bond and a handshake is all it really takes.
Yeah.
And relationships is what we build everything on. Montana, they say the world is 7 degrees of separation. Montana is no more than 2.
Yeah, for sure. I remember as a kid when I had maybe been out past curfew, and the next morning my mom's asking questions. I already knew she knew the answer, Donnie, and I'm sure you've been there because the Montana I grew up in is where everybody knows who you are, that you may not know who they are. And they know your parents. And they're like, oh, hey, I saw Spence. He was at the McDonald's at 1 a.m. last night. And she's like, oh, really? His curfew's midnight. All right. Thanks for the information. And next thing you know, I'm grounded, because of other people. And that's just the world that small town world that Montana has.
They may not know your name, but they know whose kid you are, or that you're related to such and such, that you do this.
Yep. You can't get away with shit, which is a good thing and a bad thing. I mean, I guess it depends on what you're, looking at. I remember some girls had snuck out when I was a kid, and I was walking them home, and it was out past curfew. And I can't even believe this even is a thing. You tell anybody outside Montana that you can get a curfew violation ticket as a kid, they're probably laughing. But I got stopped by a police officer. Where are you guys going? What are you doing? All right, here's citations for being out past curfew, and you have to go to court. And then I end up getting 40 hours of community service, working to try to work off my, I guess it's working off my fines or whatever the case
Not
is.
a debt to society.
Yeah, exactly. Just because I happen to be out at, I don't know, midnight and curfew's 11 or whatever the heck it was if you're under the age of 18. So I'm sure it's still similar like that still. With the I guess the issue with taking on this job that was cult like, was there something that really stands out of like that you learned from this that's really helping you run your business different today than a few years back?
Yeah, it's that I got to trust my instincts that something feels off, walk away.
You know what's not genius? Staying up late nights till midnight editing a spreadsheet. Today's episode is brought to you by FoamBid. This brand new app is designed to save you time and protect your profits. Instead of wasting time crunching numbers, you can deliver the right bid right on the job site. This means more jobs won and less late nights. Sign up now for the app that's launching soon at foambid.co/beta.
So just trust your gut feeling.
Yep. Trust yourself. If there's something going wrong, your brain is seeing a pattern there that your subconscious is seeing a pattern that your conscious mind isn't, and you have to trust that feeling.
Yeah, I like that. I like that because I think a lot of us get ourselves into trouble, or we get ourselves into situations where like, and this feels really similar. Hey, dummy, you didn't listen to your intuition. That's why this feels, similar, is because the last train wreck that you had done that felt like this, it was a bad deal, and you should listen to it. So, good advice, Donny. If you had to pick like one job, obviously we can't talk about this cult job again. But if you had to pick one job that tested like every ounce of your patience and your skill and your character, and it's a job that you'll never, ever forget, what happened, and tell us about what it taught you.
So it was my first big job. And most jobs I found are, that 1 to 2 set job. Sometimes I pick up a 5 set job here and there. A lot of jobs are in that 1 to 2 set range. This one was 30 sets. And it's 4 hours from everywhere. You can't get there. Directions include turn off the paved road, go to the second mailbox, look for 4 cows standing there with a draft horse, and then turn to the next mailbox. It's way out there, and it was a roping arena. I've done 2 of them now, and they're huge buildings. They're so much fun to spray. Because you get in there, you pull the trigger, and you just let it fly. Send it 52 chamber all day long.
Wide open, baby.
This building was 250 by 500, 16 foot, and we did all of it. There was a 4-wheel drive tractor that never left the building in 3 weeks that we were out there working on this. It stayed inside the entire time. I drove it from one corner to the other so that we could just keep working. We lived inside the building in a camp trailer. And this is within 18 months of buying the rig that I'm doing this. So I know I'm consciously incompetent. I know that I don't know a lot, and tried to get reps to come out, techs to come out and spray, but it's 4 hours from, it was literally 3 hours from any airport.
Okay.
It was, Belfouche is 2 hours, Spearfish is 3, and Rapid City, where the biggest airport would be, was 4.
Wow.
Billings is another 4-hour drive. So it's out there. And the customer is a great guy. We have another job scheduled here within 2 weeks out there. Weather right now is going to keep him from putting steel on his new shop building, so it's going to be weather dependent. But he's a great guy. It's the 4th job we've done for him. But learning how to do big buildings maintain production when you are that far from everything. When it's not just, hey, I need you to bring this out there. It's, we have to schedule tomorrow for a parts delivery, and you got to drive 2 hours to meet it. Now your guy is working by himself for 2 hours. It's this big, huge project, and I don't like my guys working solo that far from anything. When we did it, we had gun issues. Thankfully, we didn't have any reactor issues, but we had a lot of gun issues. Ended up finding some sand-like material in the B side that caused numerous issues of why am I getting clogs in my B side? Why is it, you never see issues in the B side. It's always on the A.
Mm-hmm.
It fought me. It tried my patience. We learned a lot about thermal bridging. A brand new build didn't have any thermal break between the purlins and the steel, so we learned a lot about thermal bridging when it rained in there.
Yeah.
And we ended up going back to fix that problem later. The customer agreed it wasn't our fault. We got to do it, paid for it, and still do work for the guy. But it changed and challenged everything that we had learned to date, brought our knowledge of how to do a quality job on a big building in a small amount of time, focusing on production. It really brought our knowledge level up. Me and one guy, we were spraying out of an E30 over 3 sets a day. And we did that for 7 straight days. We did 3 sets a day.
That's some serious spraying.
And then you got like 2 days of parts here and there. But it was challenging. Working 14-hour days between the two of us.
Yeah, I guess the benefit of the riding arena is, I'm assuming there's not much prep when you're spraying something that's so wide open like that. Is that correct?
Yeah, when you're spraying a dirt floor, you're not going to cover it. You don't need to poly your floor that's going to get.
Yeah,
there's nothing but dirt that's going to get farmed all the time. You don't have to worry about it at all.
Yeah, no dogs, no windows, no, nothing to really protect like a residential building or even some commercial spaces. So, so that was that job challenging, number one, because of the size, Donnie, as well as the rural location, combination of both. Was it also because 18 months, man, you're still an infant in this business. You're like, man, did I bite off something more than I can chew? Or was it also the problem with the B side? I mean, or kind of the combination of all of this, it just stacked up to where it felt super overwhelming.
It was a combination of all of it. And one thing that I will say is that at that time I was 300 pounds too.
300 pounds?
Yes, I was 300 pounds working that job. So I was grossly overweight. Now I'm working 14, 15 hours a day in 90-degree weather, spraying foam. And that reaction heat doesn't drive anywhere. You're in a steel building, that never heats up. No, you're staying cool all the time. So muscle fatigue, cramps, trying to get enough hydration was a challenge for both of us that were spraying on there.
Mm-hmm.
And then trying to troubleshoot gun issues while you're still learning how to make foam work. We grew a lot in that.
Man.
And I've learned since then that if you've got a decently capable sprayer, having a helper that knows where that sprayer is going to be in 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and what needs to be done in 25 minutes will make that sprayer more productive.
Yeah, exactly. It's almost a dance. We had a past guest on that was talking about the dance, something that he didn't realize was a thing, but he realized it's almost like learning the salsa or the tango or some type of dance. It's called the spray foam dance, and if your foamer, your sprayer can figure out that dance, the rhythm, and then also your helper can be scraping and kind of like this. It's very much this dance, and you learned early on. You need to learn that dance quickly.
It's a waltz. You have to recognize your sprayer's patterns when you're not on the gun. when he and I were working together, you learn that pattern. You hear the pumps cycling when you're doing something else, when you're doing pour-offs or you're moving the hose. You're checking for what doesn't look right. These cold joints will sometimes look like voids when you're 30 feet below them. So you're down there checking it, and you hear something that doesn't sound right. You know how to get there, and we would time it toward changing barrels. I could change one pump at a time, and he would never know when I changed it.
Wow.
He would hit his pattern of spraying, and we're full. We don't trigger a lot. It's hold it and go. You'll learn his pattern. Okay, he's hitting the end of his run. I've got 60 seconds to have this barrel ready to go. Pull the pump, stick it, and so you're spending that minute and a half before then. You've got both barrels turned, so the pump is moving a foot. At that time, I had it set. We were doing 4. We had 2 pallets sitting on the ground outside the building in the shade. I would turn all 4 so that the movement of the pump was minimal, and we would do it all on the ground, then pour it off, bring it in with another skid steer, move the barrels. You learn that rhythm, and then it's just nonstop.
Yeah.
It's moving. When you know that, hey, he's going to spray for 3 straight hours, we're going to get it right at a set out. We're going to stop. We're going to reevaluate everything. I'm going to take over on the gun. He's going to hydrate, do what he needs to do. 3 hours later, we eat and do it again.
Man, that's crazy. Have you ever, since that time with this riding arena, have you guys seen this sand particle type of contaminants in the B site ever again?
Nope. I've heard of it on Spray Foam Worldwide. I've seen posts about, hey, I'm getting little bits of sand particles in there. It sounds like it's grainy like sand, but it was black. I've seen other people post about it, but I've never personally had that issue.
Man, and out of all jobs that it could have happened on, it happens on the biggest or one of the biggest projects you've ever worked on. Is that the biggest project you guys have worked on, or one of them?
It is the biggest for spray foam volume. Not financially the biggest one overall because of that and other things that we do, but that was the biggest spray foam job, and I'm still proud to say that 2 of us sprayed a semi-load of foam in less than 20 days. We were just, and that includes breakdowns and travels and crossing whips over the. I had to go back to my full-time job. I was still part-time foaming and running a road grader full-time. He crossed over the gun and went into the whip. He had to drive 4 hours to get to me, to Billings. I had to drive to Belgrade, 2 hours there, 2 hours back. We met with the parts on a holiday weekend. Props to Gina for getting me the parts, meeting and having her people meet me an hour after they closed, because that's just the way it was. And that's a credit to this industry of, oh yeah, you're going to be after we're going to close, we'll make something happen, someone will still meet you. I love how tight-knit this community is. I borrowed a trailer from a competitor that's a great guy, drove 3 hours to his shop, borrowed a trailer to take to another state to bring back, and we just treat it right. Help me out when I need it.
Yeah, which is kind of a mix. You get a mix of Montana and a mix of what the spray foam world is like when people are doing that. So that's amazing that culture is still out there in Montana, and you guys aren't viewing each other as competition, that there's enough to go around for everybody. So that's cool. I know this is putting you on the spot, but I didn't know you had such a huge weight loss. Tell me about the journey, dude. Like, you're obviously probably half the size of what you used to be.
I am down 140 pounds overall.
Oh my God, dude, that's like another human off of you. You must feel amazing.
It's been so life-changing. I credit my wife entirely on this, because without her, I would have never done it.
Yeah.
So I was always a big kid. I was fast. I was strong, because you grew up feeding cattle and horses with a pitchfork and carrying 5-gallon buckets of feed, and not just one, you're carrying 4 of them. So I was always very strong. And then I got lazy when I was in college and quit working as hard and working out as hard, because I never physically lifted weights or ran. I just did what I had to do.
When you're baling hay, dude, you don't have to do anything.
I ballooned up to 335 at my highest.
Wow.
In 2000, this is before I graduated college, I was involved in the armored truck wreck. Broke my femur and a bunch of other bones, so had some pretty serious injuries and went from 300 to 250, and then ended up, that's when my highest was 300, lost the weight in the hospital. In 2 weeks, I dropped 50 pounds in the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
Over 2 years, I put it back on, and then I got really lazy when I was on a road grader, because your production is based on how much you sit in that seat.
Yeah.
It went from 335, and my wife got me, no, you have to get active again, and went down. And she said to me that I'm going to go have a surgery so that we can lose the weight, so that I can lose the weight, she said.
Mm-hmm.
And I looked at her and says, I will not let you go through this alone. I like being married to you way more than I like the weight. So we're doing it together. So we did. We jumped on a plane, went down to Tijuana because, and this is not politically correct, and I don't care. Everyone in that area will tell you that medical tourism in Mexico is a huge multi-billion, with a B, billion-dollar industry. And
Yeah.
if you think the cartels are not involved, you're stupid or nuts.
Yeah, of course, right? They're involved in everything.
They're not going to screw it up, so it's great. And you do your research, you find out who the good surgeons are and the good places to go. And my wife does all that for me because I don't have the patience anymore.
I hear you.
So she found our surgeon. We went down there, had surgery one day apart, came home, and the weight started falling off. It took 6 weeks, and then it just dropped. And now I went from thinking a mile was a long way to run to doing Spartan races.
Heck yeah, dude. You got your life back.
It's amazing that my surgeon said, the one that did my knee repair when I broke the femur, said, you will have to have a knee replacement. Don't run if you don't have to. And now I'm doing the Spartan Beast, 13 miles up rugged mountains in Utah. And
So
challenging myself. I ran 4 miles on the treadmill this morning.
man, congrats to you. And that was from gastric bypass surgery.
I had a vertical gastric sleeve. She had a bypass. We both had one surgery. I didn't have the acid reflux that she did, and that's why she went with bypass and I went with sleeve.
Uh-huh.
And it's been life-changing. If there's anybody that's in that morbidly obese, reach out to me. I will tell you the good, the bad, and the ugly of it. And my only regret was not doing it 10 years sooner.
Yeah, that's amazing. A friend of mine, she recently lost about the same amount of weight. She's a young mom. She has a 5 and 3-year-old, and she got her life back, Donnie. So much so that she was just telling me about how she can actually now hug her daughters, and how she can be a better mom because she's not so large, and she's able to actually get into the gym, and she's able to start doing these things she's always wanted to do. Obviously people that struggle with their weight, because I'm one of them as well. We have challenges that everybody's triggered by certain things that probably are, at least I know I'm an emotional eater. And so for, with that being said, to be able to lose that amount of weight, you're obviously moving much more agile on job sites. At 300 pounds spraying this riding arena, if there was a medical emergency, you're 4 hours away from basically civilization. And so, I don't know what you're doing when you're that far away, except for crossing your fingers and doing lots of praying and hoping to God you can get to a hospital. But that is an amazing journey. Donnie, congrats on your weight loss. And it sounds absolutely amazing that you've been able to get your life back. And man, a Spartan race, I want you to go find that doctor that said knee replacement and be like, look, dude, look at me now.
He would be amazed at where I'm at now. That's for sure. When you're that far away from home, and for every business owner out there, every foreman, every sprayer, because Montana is this vast, you have to learn medicine in some point. You have to learn emergency medicine. I was an EMT, an advanced EMT for 5 years. I was part of the state EMS board.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot more strongly encourage every business owner, every foreman to take a minimum of a first aid class. Get CPR certified. Learn how to put on a tourniquet. You will save someone's life.
Wow, that's
And
good.
if something would have happened to any of us out there, you don't come back from that. You're DRT, you're dead right there.
Is it common for people to have a pretty good substantial first aid kit in their rigs?
Yes.
Is that required, or is that just kind of like something that kind of known?
It's OSHA required that we're a business. We have to provide our employees with some sort of first aid kit. I go a step beyond and I make sure that my people are trained on how to put on a tourniquet. I do a lot with military, so it's really easy for me to say, hey, have you gone through Combat Lifesaver, or have you been through a tourniquet course? High and tight, get it done. And that's been a benefit to me, is being able to pull for military, because as you know, Montana is a very veteran dense state.
Yep.
That's very good in some respects, and in others it provides its own challenges, because we're crafts. You have to be able to take a little bit of shit from the military people, and I love every minute of it.
Yeah.
Having that training and going through it, being licensed as an EMS provider and seeing the differences in EMS licensure requirements from state to state makes me really apply this. I want to apply the same kind of thing to spray foam. I was listening to our friends in Canada, and I'm only 4.5 hours from the border here. So anything north of Lewistown, in my opinion, is southern Canada. And I do support all of our Saskatchewan and Albertan brothers that want to leave Canada and join the United States. Come on, guys, we're ready for you.
Yeah.
We need to have that higher level of licensure requirements. And I think EMS is a kind of a stepping stone from what we are now with nothing to having some sort of licensure that does not take, it's not a huge barrier, but there is, what the SPFA does is very similar to what the National Registry does. And I think that should be a requirement, as it is for EMS, to have a national registry where people taking standardized tests to get the ability to practice foam, practice medicine. Mm-hmm. It's a great in-between step from that and what Canada requires, and then having a full licensure program such as electricians and plumbers.
Did you know that the smartest tool in your truck is not your spray foam gun? It's Foam Bid. Yeah, this episode is sponsored by our friends over at foambid.co. This app finally makes bidding simple. Forget guessing, forget overbidding, and forget losing out on jobs because you made mistakes. You look sharp, you look ready to win, and you look professional. So go over to foambid.co/beta to get access to the new app that's about ready to launch. We'll see you there.
Yeah, speaking of that, that is one of the topics that we like to end the show on. You mentioned, our friends up north, there in Canada, they already have regulation in place, Donnie, and I'm curious, just because of my personal opinion on this, and being somebody that's not a spray foamer, a guy that's looking kind of from the outside in, if that makes sense, of, this is a business that I feel like needs regulation. It needs some type of friction, some barrier of entry into the world. What's your opinion on it, and where would it start for you in your professional opinion?
And I'm going to relate this back to EMS. I think EMS is, if you're not part of it, look into it, support your local ambulance, support your local firefighters. They need it. And EMS is not, it's not a mandated public service like law enforcement or fire. It is not required. You do not have to have EMS. EMS has a bunch of different levels in it. You got your EMR, your first responder. So a lot of basic firefighters are just basically first aid people, the CPR.
Yeah.
A lot of law enforcement is a first responder. They know enough to hopefully not let you die before someone else gets there. And then once you decide, okay, I can do more than put on a Band-Aid and stabilize a bone injury. I want to do more. I want to be better at that. You become a EMT, emergency medical technician.
Mm-hmm.
And from there you go to advanced EMT and then paramedic and then flight medic. So there's a lot of different levels. And SPFA, they follow that. You got your assistant, your helper, you got your technician, you got your installer, your master installer. So that's not that much different from EMR, EMT, paramedic. The thing that it requires is if you want to travel, you want to do something, you have to have that basic medical license of some sort where you're certified by a state board. It can be taken away if you do bad work. And I think it's not going to happen nationally.
Mm-hmm.
It needs to happen at a state level. We're going to have to do it as a community. We're going to have to require it because my science background, I go look at it. We're taking two chemicals that are dissimilar. We're making a plastic that lasts. We're making plastic in your walls.
Yeah.
And if you screw it up, it's going to be potentially hazardous to whoever it is. In my background in biotech, we can talk cancer, we can talk DNA. I understand enough of it to be dangerous. But the longer you're exposed to these bad products, it's going to cause problems, whether they're respiratory, whether it leads to cancer or whatever issues that you're predisposed to will come up. So it's great to say that we need it. We have to, as an industry, start saying no and going to the state legislatures, going through our building associations and saying we need to have this licensure. We don't want to be journeymen. We don't want to be master techs. But we have to have something. Let's follow the same kind of thing as it, massage therapist, EMS. Let's make a step in here. It's going to have to happen at a state level, grassroots. And SPFA is really starting to lead that. We just need people like you and I and the other members of your podcast that say, no, I am passionate about this. I love this industry.
Yeah.
We have to start taking the reins and being more active. And I get it. We're all busy. We have families. I want my boys to be able to spray foam. My 12-year-old has pulled the trigger. He's done that work. My 10-year-old loves to come out and help. I want my kids to live through this industry compared to what we did, what our predecessors did. Well, we're going to run an N95 and you're driving home coughing for 3 straight days. You got the blue haze. And no, I've never sprayed without a mask on. No, man. Of course, you can throw the bullshit flag at that, but
yeah,
we have to remember that the next generation's going to take what we've learned and move forward at it and say, well, look at them dummies. Look at what they did. Look at how dangerous this stuff can be. And what we're doing is going to last us forever. I've worked on National Historic Register homes. We need to treat this industry like something special because it's got so many aspects of what we grew up in with Montana, that handshake, that help a buddy out, build these relationships. We have to take the reins and say, no, I'm going to push this forward because it's important to me.
Yeah, exactly. So it sounds like in your ideal world, Donnie, it starts with the SPFA's PPC program. You go through that. That's kind of your baseline or your foundation. Then would there be some form of continuing education that's going to be required like every few years to kind of just brush up on things?
Yep. Continuing education in EMS is required. I think so in spray foam because the technology changes.
Yeah, exactly.
I just bought an FX gun. I want to upgrade to a higher tech reactor for my Series 1, even though I can work on it. It's not that difficult as long as you know what a multimeter is and how to use it. And you can get a phone call and a picture to somebody that's done the work before. Oh, yeah, you've got that upside down, turn it around. you forgot to take this one little lock screw out, and then everything comes apart and goes back together easy.
Mm-hmm.
There's reasons to start getting into, oh, I can see production, I see temperatures, I can download this, I can upload it, I can track things better, and that is part of what we need to be doing is tracking and charting. And I run a daily log. I don't know many companies in Montana that do. I think that is a great starting point. Run your daily log.
Yeah.
Not only does it protect your butt, it's a great way to train people. Hey, it was 35 degrees out in January of last year. What temperature did we use? Well, flip back in the book. Well, here's similar weather to this time last year.
Mm-hmm.
Here's where we had our reactors at pressure, temperature. Here was the wind, humidity. It's a tool to teach your people.
Good place to start as far as foundation is concerned. Plus it takes away a little bit of that guessing, having the log,
Yes.
as well as prevention of the lawsuits. You're absolutely right. I mean, if it's the homeowner that comes back that's accusing you, or maybe the manufacturer, you're trying to say, hey, there's something going on with this. I've heard of so many stories from the manufacturer. The first thing they're going to say is, Donnie, where's your log? Well, we want to see what you're spraying. Like, we're not going to take liability of that this product is not good product. So show us your log. And then, like, if you show the log, most of the time, then you get the manufacturer on your side, and they're like, okay, let's figure this out together. But you're absolutely right. So continuing education with after the PCP program. Who in the spray foam world is going to be checking licenses or credentials, in your opinion? Like, where do you think that whose like plate does that fall on?
Falls on us as a community. Really good friend of mine, a customer, runs a massage business. She is a licensed massage therapist. She's on the state board and the national board. So we can do the same thing. You have a state board that oversees what are we requiring, what are the barriers here, are we requiring enough, are people getting enough education, how do we get more education, being a part of the state EMS board, how do we provide that education to it, or do we come up with the opportunities, but we police ourselves. You can impersonate a doctor. That's never happened, has it? You never see that on the news that someone was impersonating a nurse or a doctor or a dentist or a vet.
Yeah.
It happens in our world, and we call the board sets fines, and eventually you bring in the appropriate legal aspects. But unless you have that licensure piece, you can't bring in the legal aspects of we're shutting down your business, we're pulling your license, and you're going to be sued by the state because you didn't follow the state required procedures. So It falls on us as an industry and getting the state to put it in place.
Yeah. Do you think the manufacturer has some responsibility in this as well?
Yeah.
From a perspective of just checking licenses, because I feel like, obviously you and I grew up with a whole bunch of cowboys, and there's always going to be cowboys. There's always going to be the Wild West, right? No matter if there's regulation or not, there's always going to be somebody that's trying to cut the corners. And I feel like it's on the manufacturer side of things, because at the end of the day, if they're not, I think it's a unique situation, because as a manufacturer, your job is to sell chemical. But also on the flip side of things, I think it should belong on them to check to make sure Donnie has a license in order to sell the chemical to you. So what's your take on that?
The manufacturer is not going to have as much liability as we would ever like to see them there. The distribution is going to have some liability. So I am proud to say I sprayed JM. It was made in Belgrade until this year.
Okay.
It's designed for the climate. I mean, that was the original design, was for Montana. So it is, in my opinion, it's a very forgiving foam. It will handle great temperature swings that I love to see. I love to see how flexible it is. But JM's not going to say, well, we're going to pull every licensure because we sell to 15,000 different spray foamers. No, they're not the ones selling directly to it in the lot, unless you're buying a truckload. You're buying direct. then yeah, they need to pull a license, or at least look up on the state. Yeah, a business by this name has the license.
Mm-hmm.
The distribution company, where I don't buy semi-load quantities every month, every week, I'm buying through a distributor. They need to pull the license and say, okay, yeah, at least this company has their license. It's in good standing when we started selling it to it. And then it falls on the relationships that we build with our distributors, our reps,
Yeah.
to know whether or not, yeah, this guy's good, this guy's not. So it's not so much the full manufacturer, it falls to distribution companies.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's a perfect place for us to end, Donnie. It's been great having a conversation with you, talking, Montana, as well as, man, the crazy stories. I think there's going to be people that tune in from the South, your Florida, your Alabama, your Georgia, and they hear about these stories of going basically off grid to spray. It reminds me of Lane Mirza that we had on the show. He's up in Canada and, going to these rural places that have a spray foam rig that's been basically flown in and dropped on islands and crazy stuff like this, up towards the North Pole. But yeah, just some really unique stories that you've shared with us. If somebody's looking at possibly hitting you up for employment or weight loss or surgery, I guess, tied to weight loss, what's the best way for them to get in touch with Donny Morton?
Best way to get in touch with me is going to be through either the website or the Facebook, bulletproofinsulation.com. You can find me on Facebook. On Spray Foam Worldwide, I do go under my personal name. I don't use the business name there because I want to be that accessible. So Donny Morton, I feel that it's important for all of us to share the good, the bad, and the ugly. I don't focus on pretty all the time. I focus on production. There's some sprayers that I do want to learn from how to do production pretty. I think there's a fine line between production and pretty a lot of times.
True.
And I would rather put up pictures of work that doesn't look butter all the time and say, yeah, I went out here by myself. I sprayed 2 sets in 6.5 hours. I'm going home. I'm going to open a cold drink at home. Side note for the weight loss, I don't do beer as well anymore because of the carbonation. So
Yeah.
I drink mead. And because of Spray Foam, I'm now a part owner of a company called Bearded Viking Mead Company.
That's cool, man. I don't know much about mead. I'm not an alcoholic beverage drinker myself, but anytime that you can become a partner in something that you have some passion about, especially when it's a passion project for yourself that has nothing to do with spray foam, I'm sure it's extremely fun to be able to play around with that. So yeah, so guys, if you're tuning in and you want to connect with Donny, make sure you shoot him a Facebook Messenger or shoot him an email over at bulletproofinsulation.com. Make sure you guys like and follow and subscribe, whatever platform you guys are on, to the Foam to Fortune podcast. We really enjoy you guys tuning in. Donny, it was amazing. Fellow 406 brother, great to tune in. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me. If you ever want to do it again, let's just talk straight up Montana for 20 minutes. Hunting, fishing, skiing, I'm game.
Heck yeah, man. Heck yeah. That sounds great. Well, thanks for popping on, and we'll get you back on here another time.
Looking forward to it.
Thanks, man. Take care.